Revamped Eudora, no intros, but if you want to see the full written guide, link is in the description. Okay, so really quickly, let's jump into a build for Eudora. So for boots, you want to take cooldown boots. This is to help with the 10% cooldown reduction, and we'll explain why exactly later. For the early game damage, you want to take Genius 1. This is because of the recent buffs along with Lightning Truncheon here, which will make your early game damage really strong and make up for the lack of resetting of cooldown from your S1. Afterwards, you want Holy Crystal to get that bump in magic power in the mid to late game, but if they have a lot of sustained heroes and your team doesn't have a lot of anti-heal, you could go something like the Glowing Wand. For late game, you kinda want Wishing Lantern. This is to help with even more cooldown reduction to hit that breaking point, as well as against tanks who don't have a lot of magic defense. Now, if they do have a lot of magic defense, you can swap this out for Divine Glaive because it does provide more utility overall. And the last slot is flexible, you can just change it according to what you need. Now for emblems, you want to take Mage Emblem, which gives magic power, cooldown reduction, and magic penetration. For talents, you want to take Inspire. Again, the key concept here is cooldown reduction, and Wilderness Blessing for extra movement speed, as well as Lethal Ignition. Now, why do we emphasize cooldown reduction that much? It's because the S1 can actually reset on its own if it's the enhanced S1, aka you hit someone who is inflicted with Superconductor. This will allow her to channel it more efficiently and make her more of a poking, more of an annoying mage that still does damage with each single poke. Think of it like an Eve S1, right? You have that consistent poke that still deals decent damage. So all this cooldown reduction is meant to facilitate that without adding in something extra for like an enchanted talisman. And then for Flicker, for Battle Spell, you don't want to take Flicker because she is vulnerable since she has no dash skills, and that basically wraps up the build for Eudora. Okay, so now we're gonna share with you some Eudora tech, okay, because there's actually different ways you want to use her skill combos depending on the situation you're in, so please take note about this. So, let's say you are in a single target scenario, and the single target, let's say you want to target this guy, right? You do a simple combo like this, and then this, okay? You want to layer your S1 such that it doesn't overlap with your S2. So let's say I'm far away and I just cast it immediately. It will not trigger. The extra effect of the S1 won't trigger because my S1 actually didn't hit him when the superconductor is there. But if I layer it a bit and then use it now, the effect will trigger. So you have to wait a while, you have to have that certain duration in before you click the S1, so just make sure to not spam your skills when you're far range, but in closer ranges it's okay. Now, what happens when your target has Purify, right? When your target has Purify, your only goal here should be bait out that Purify, or if your target is Flicker, sure, bait out that Flicker too. Essentially, you want a Flicker bait or a Puri bait, and what other way to bait it out than make the target think that he's in a life-threatening scenario. How do you do that? Use your ult. So let's say this guy here has Purify, okay? What we want to do is we don't want to do a standard combo. We want to do 2, 1, and 3 instead. Because the burst damage from the ult will make them want to Purify instead. If you do the standard combo, they might not want to do it. So after all your skills reset pretty fast, right? Your stun comes back in like 5 seconds, your ult comes back in 15 seconds in late game. So it's really refreshable. So you really want to just do this combo. So, okay, let's repeat it again, okay? No Purify, standard 2, 1, and 3. If they have Purify, 2, 3, and 1. Now, let's say you're in a team scenario. Let's say there are 3 enemies over here, okay? What you want to do is not to use Purify. Not to use Purify. Not to use your S2 first. What you want to do is S1 and then S2. So that the stun, you can see that it transfers onto multiple targets. Stun goes onto all 3 of them. And when the stun goes onto all 3, it applies Superconductor to all of them. So after you use S1, S2, S3, you target everyone with your ult, and the extra effect all applies. So remember, single target 2-1-3 or 2-3-1, team fights 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we are going to be showcasing the revamped Eudora in this game. So we can already see that our poke potential, it loses out a bit to like traditional mages like Kimi or Farsa with faster wave clear, because although Eudora's S1 actually deals increased damage to minions, the damage increase is a bit insignificant at level 1. However, if you pair it up with the stun and you get the enhanced skill 1 with the superconductor in, as you can see earlier, we actually deal quite a bit of damage. So Eudora is just, I mean, she feels better, right? She feels less one-dimensional, less reliant on that one combo to pick people off, and she's more reliant even when she's behind. And you can see that her kit is essentially very the dynamic is very well developed. What I mean by that is that all her skills have some sort of a use now. I still don't really like how the S2 functions as a mini stun, but I guess for a mage that doesn't have any blink skills like herself, it actually works well. You can see here that I S2 onto the Kimi and then S1 onto Kimi as well as the creeps, right? You see you have to manually aim that, if not your S2 may like automatically go onto the minions instead, which you don't want, right? So by doing that, you can maximize your damage output. And you can see that our poke potential on Eudora is actually really strong, because even at level 1, our damage is so high with all the superconductor marks, and we force them all the way back here. Here I really thought I could kill the Ixia, but I guess not. She flickered out just in time before I could hit my S1. But now that we have our ult, we can showcase how her combo can actually function and how high her damage can still be even when they revamped her, right? So we come over to a turtle here. I actually forgot what went down here. We do get a turtle. I think we get down to the Lucas. And you can see the crazy damage with the superconductor, right? It isn't a lot yet, but as time passes and the damage stacks up, it gets quite a lot. I tried to weave the lance there, but I guess he was a bit too what's the word, slippery with it, so we try to predict his dashes, but you know, we still got to kill into the Lucas, so. And throughout the game, you can see how S1 actually functions really well, right? When you think of Eudora, you think of her S2, you think of the stun that seems to stun you for 5 million years, you think of the ult, which is what I just did there, right? I don't even need the stun. The fact that the ult is AoE now gives me so much autonomy for me to just aim it at whoever I don't like and just shoot them down. It doesn't have to be in range, right? Because previously when it's single target, when it's in range, you either get in range or you don't. But now, you're way more flexible with it. You can aim at a targeted area, you can deal more damage, you can have more AoE. I don't really know what the Ixia is doing here, so we actually cut it quite close, but we do manage to take her out. Also, another thing that you want to know is if you're casting a skill 2 at a distance, like what I did there, right? You don't want to immediately spam a skill 1 after skill 2, right? Well, here we made a big mistake because I tried to predict the Kimi stun, but we ended up walking into it. But back to my point of not casting the skill 2 and the skill 1. I may put this in the intro, I'm not sure. But you want to cast skill 2. You want to cast skill 1 after skill 2, after a short delay, okay? You don't want to cast it immediately. And this applies to when you use skill 2 at at almost max range. Why is this so? Well, you see, in order to maximize her damage output, you will need superconductor stacks on the guy. And you only apply superconductor using her skills. If you S1 too early, your S2 would not have connected yet and thus would not have applied superconductor when your S1 triggers. And thus you see when I do it here, my S1 does more damage. I stagger my S1 until my S2 stuns because I know that he's quite far away. I know that the S2 stun will not come immediately. So that's a very important thing to take note of Eudora, because you're actually losing out a lot of damage, right? Especially in late game, the enhanced skill 1 actually does about 1k more damage. That is 1k more damage that you are foregoing in like a matter of seconds, right? You can see here, we tried going onto the Kimi again, but here we were a bit impatient. I don't think our S1 fully triggered, which is why this outcome turned out, but I guess we still have flicker, so it's really important to be patient with this new Eudora. You don't want to spam everything on the go because you might be losing out on precious damage that you can really easily get if you really just time like the duration of your skills. But now you can see that we're pretty much ahead, and especially with the new item changes. I think I'll talk about this in the build earlier as well. But especially with the new item changes, it benefits her really well because for a burst mage like her, right, she has poke now, but she still has that burst potential with the new adjustments, right? Your damage in early game is so high, your damage in late game is not compromised, and you add in a bit of cooldown reduction here and there to maximize the damage output of your S1. Now you can see that the game here is pretty much going really well for us. The only thing we have is some mana issues, and the thing that I don't like, okay, I feel like Eudora, the Revamped Eudora, is a balanced hero. I don't feel like she's a bad hero, I don't feel like she's a broken hero, I feel like she's a decent hero, okay? But the only thing I still don't like about her, and this might be a bit biased, but I do think every MOBA should have a form of mobility, have a form of escape, and I guess she does that through her enhanced skill 1 and her stuns, so at least there's that. So it's easier for her to evade like enemies now. Okay, here I tried something funny, okay. I tried to use the ult first, because I know that I have to apply superconductor somehow and my S1 and S2 weren't in range. However, I failed to miscalculate the fact that my S2 was not guaranteed to land. But since the revamp, you see that our ult cooldown is basically like 20 seconds, right? Look at our ult, it's basically back, and I don't know if we secure the kills here, but our ult is back actually, and we can just use it so sparingly. We can use it to force out purifies, right? The strongest point of the new Eudora is that you can force out so many battle spells, you can force out flickers, you can force out purifies with just a simple combo like this. See, staggering the damage. I didn't even use stagger it there, but just to be sure, I managed, I tried to, I made sure to layer the S1 on top of the S2 right as the stun landed. So you don't want to do it too late, right? Because your S2 stun will expire. And you also don't want to do it too early, right? Because you're missing out on potential damage. But over time, you really master the timing. And you can see earlier there, I didn't master every single timing. So it really takes quite a while. But when you do it, the damage, as you can see, it is really rewarding. Now Eudora is another type of hero that I feel is not very high risk high reward. It's low risk high reward in a sense. Although the benefit you get from her every game isn't like the ceiling is pretty low, there's a limited amount of benefit you can get from her. She can shift her role indefinitely, right? She can be a burst mage when you want it. Bam bam bam, burst mage. Or you can adopt a more teamfight oriented mage playstyle. You can play more like a Aurora, more like a Yve. You can use your ult as area denial, as more of crowd control with your S2 instead of bursting them down with your S1 and your ult, right? So the thing I love the most about this Eudora revamp is they made it such a way where it is possible for players to adapt and change their playstyle. And you can see that hitting the S1 is really important. Like I could have killed the Angela there with my enhanced S1, but because I didn't land it, my ult didn't do that much damage. So do not discount the S1 guys, because in late game, in like these kind of scenarios, your S1 actually does more damage than your ult. Well, not always, but it's considerable, right? And against dive heavy heroes like the Lucas, like the Lance here, you can see that Eudora as a hero really falls short here. But we really just want to showcase how this revamp changes up her playstyle and makes her from a one-dimensional burst snowballing mage to one that's still able to provide utility to the team even when falling behind or when being countered by these dive heroes. So we almost get wiped out here, but it's alright because the goalie is still in our favor. I'm not sure if they take Lord here, but there's a high chance they might. I'm holding on to my flicker, right, because I see the Kimmy in mid and I can see that I can easily kill her based on my past experiences, right? So we are just gonna play it slow here and just look for potential targets to pick off. We see that the Kimmy is bot lane and we can see that maybe we can get a potential kill onto her, but it will be a bit hard. But I think we try anyways. We go for a flicker. And okay, we do get the kill on her. Yeah, so the burst damage on the new Eudora is really high. You can see that although my ult didn't land perfectly, because we hit the S1, actually managed to kill her in the end, right? So remember, new Eudora hitting S1 is really important, right? Not saying that the old one isn't important, but especially the new one with the extra effect and the cooldown reduction that you get from it, it is really important. I think it gives movement speed boost too, so it's a very nice bonus, especially when you're running. Yeah, so that's the mobility aspect. Great. You can see that we purchased Glowing Wand here, even though it wasn't originally in our build, because we had to deal with the Angela somehow, and my teammates were for some reason not buying anti-heal. So yeah, you can really just adapt your build, but I really just like to go Genius Wand into Lightning Truncheon regardless, because I feel like that early game burst damage is what gets you really going into the late game. And then late game you buy more cooldown items, you buy something like a Winter Crown, you buy something like a Wishing Lantern, something along those sorts, right? You want that cooldown reduction so that you constantly have your S1 up if you manage to reset it. Again, you can see there really good use of our S1, layering it immediately. Okay, not immediately, sorry. Layering it a while after I use the S2 so that the stun will connect first and then the enhanced skill 1 kicks in. So you can see that we're sitting at a really comfortable position right now, 9, 3, and 6. And the fact that our ult, I have to emphasize again, our ult has been changed from single target to AoE. It's manually aimable, it's draggable, it's not a lock on. This allows her to, yes, sometimes be a bit off in the aiming of the centering of the ult, but also at the same time provides more versatility because you can just use your ult to scare them off, bait out a few resources, a few battle spells, and just force out a few reactions that you wouldn't be able to with the old Eudora. You can see that we're in a, like I said, a very comfortable position. They go on to our Nathan here, I believe, but we are just going over and providing some support. Here I should have stunned him with S1 first, sorry, S2 first, but I guess maybe we panicked a little, but it's all good because he won't be able to dive us anyways. And you can see that her clear on the minions is actually beginning to show now. Her damage is actually decent now. Her wave clear is actually not too bad. So it's really just in the early game that I'm a bit nitpicky about her wave clear because it's something that I feel loses out to other mages like Kimi, Fasa, even Jusin, right? Jusin's speed is comparable to her and Jusin has a hella slow of a clearing speed. Here we do go down and it's very unfortunate that they wipe us out another time. The second time this has happened already, and you can see that as an outcome of this, the goal lead has really shortened down to quite a marginal amount. Thankfully our Lapu is up to try and defend this, but we know that from now on we gotta play more discipline, we gotta respect their damage, we gotta respect the goal they have. And yeah, it has come to a stage in the game where execution is just so important and we cannot afford to mess up any small mistakes, any combos, etc. So we just gotta play it safe and wait for the opportunity to show itself. But I hope that, like, so far you've been able to see the potential of this new Eudora, right? You can see that it feels different, okay? I don't know how many of y'all have actually played the new Eudora, but it feels different. And at this stage of the game, my S1 basically resets if it's the enhanced, right? If I hit the enhanced, it will basically reset my S1. Because how the S1 works is, if it triggers the final effect of the enhanced state, it actually reduces the cooldown of it by 2 seconds. Here I really wanted to go back to base, although they're fighting there, because I was very paranoid about potential backdoor because I have lost to those kind of games before. Here I'm pretty sure I even outed the minions, as you can see, because our ult just comes back so fast. And honestly guys, look at the base. Our Nathan just finished the game off. Well, I know it isn't the ending that you're looking for, right? I know you're looking for some juicy like 3-man set into a triple kill with my ult or something, but that's just how the game is, right? Not every game has to end flashy. Not every game has to end like with a triple kill, a maniac or a savage. Some games just end with unexpected backdoors like that, and we are here to witness the beauty of that happening. But anyways, that is the gameplay of the new Revamped Eudora here. Let me know if you liked it, and yeah, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, do remember to give a like and subscribe and comment down below what your favorite part of the video is. Remember that this is Jared and I'm not just teaching you what works in ML, I'm teaching you why it works. See you next time.